Hi, Chad. Nice to meet you.
Very good to meet you.
We have Chad Bianco, who is the sheriff of Riverside County. Uh, I believe you've been in the sheriff's office in Riverside for 31 plus years. Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
started in. It is. I started in 1993,
Awesome. And you were voted in 2018.
2018, and then reelected in 2022. And normally we would have had a 2026 election for sheriff, but they changed our process to the governor cycle, so they had to give us 2 extra years. My next election for sheriff is 2028, which really makes it possible for what's happening now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you are running for governor of California.
I am.
Yeah, are you not entirely happy with the current governor?
Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you, I have not met one single person that is happy with our current governor, and really that's what led me to really have to run in this election, because I watched as the dozen or so names started lining up of the people that want to take his place, and we know them already. It's the same names and the same faces of the people that put us here in this position anyway, that we find ourselves in, that has happened slowly over the last couple of decades, almost even 3 decades. And so, with all of that happening, knowing that they're either going to be the same as our current governor or worse, something had to be done. And in the end, it's, you can sit and complain about it, or you can do something about it. And we chose to do something about it, and it's so far it's resonating very well with Californians.
That's awesome. I always like to say identify the problem and then come up with a solution. Or just don't talk about it, because griping about stuff doesn't really get anything done.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, who you are, where do you come from? What was your passion to join, become a sheriff, and, for all the way from when you were a kid? I want to know a little bit about you.
All right. Well, sure. As a kid, I was born and raised in Utah, and I came here when I was 22. But growing up as a young man in Utah, in a very very small town, I was blessed with athleticism. I played multiple sports, and I was blessed to be good at the majority of them, all of them that I played. And but truly, my passion was baseball. That is really what I did until I came to California, and it was good for me. And I was raised by a great dad, great grandparents. I think that as we move forward and we look back and we say, how did you get here? What, leadership style, especially in positions like this where I am, is, you it was I think it was I was born for this. This is how I was raised. This I was formed. What I went through, how I was raised, how I was taught, is what has brought me here today. And I credit my family for this, and I credit my upbringing. I came to California for the California dream. Real tiny little story. I was 11 years old, and I came to Santa Monica to play in the Little League World Series. And we came out here as the team, and they took us in as in foster families in pairs. So me and my best friend went with a foster family in Santa Monica, and we were 11. They had a 13-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter, and those two immersed us in everything that was Santa Monica for kids, and everything else, even adults, if for that matter. But we went to the beach, the pier, the downtown, movies, arcades, birthday parties for their friends, and the park, and just all of these things that for two small town kids. I grew up in a town of 1,200, and so as
What
11
what
to now
town?
be
What town was that?
Helper, Utah.
Okay.
It was named for a railroad town. It was a coal mining and railroad town, but it was at the base of a very very steep, 20-mile incline for the railroad, and they had helper engines that helped the trains get over the pass. And so, in the 1800s, I'm sure they named the town Helper, and it was because of the depot. It was the Helper Depot. So anyway, that was strange little tidbit of information. But anyway, finding myself in California, 11 years old, and I was just in awe. And so I went home. I told my parents that I was moving to California, and they told me I had to wait till I was an adult, and I did. I continued with childhood being raised. I went to University of Utah to play baseball there, And afterward, I moved to California. And really, here I am today. It was 1989 when I moved to California. Actually, moved to Calabasas, lived there for a year, enjoyed the beach, Malibu, all of that stuff. And then obviously couldn't afford to live there, and especially with a young family. So we moved to Riverside, and I've been here ever since. I can't say, a lot of times people ask me what got you into law enforcement. Did you always have a desire to be in law enforcement? And the answer is no. My dream, I saw myself retiring as a sportscaster after being inducted into Baseball Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, like with many others, that career path didn't work out for me. There was something different in store for my future. And so in California here, I had an opportunity to put myself through a sheriff's academy, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Academy in 1993. And immediately upon graduation, I was hired by the Riverside County Sheriff. Back then in the early 90s, their budgets were tight. Law enforcement agencies were not hiring. They were picking from either lateral officers or people that put themselves through an academy, called it pre-service. And so that's how I got hired. I finished at the top of my class, and Riverside hired me, and I've been here ever since, and absolutely love it. So 32 years. I'm coming up on 32 years now. And then obviously being the sheriff since 2018, I've seen a lot of good times, a lot of bad times in our agency. Bad times are what caused me to even want to run for sheriff in the first place. The morale in our department was really tanking. I mean, it was bad. We were losing. We're a big agency. So right now we have about 4,400 employees, $1.2 billion budget. But back then we were losing probably between 30 and 40 deputies every 2 weeks. And they were just going to other agencies just because of the morale, the failed leadership that was truly we were experiencing in our agency. It just wasn't a good time, and that's what prompted me to run for office. Obviously, I won, and we made some drastic changes in how we operate, how we provide a service to our community. We have a extremely high satisfaction rate of our public on the service that we provide. I get along great with our board of supervisors, who strangely is 4-1 Democrat. And it's not what people think, that, oh yeah, they labeled me as this extremist right-wing sheriff, but truly I'm not. I'm just a dad and a husband who cares about keeping people safe, and I come to work, and I'm blessed to be the sheriff of Riverside County. And so I have to do everything I can to make sure that we do provide that service, and that our deputies are doing everything we can to make truly Riverside County the best county in the state. That's my goal. And we believe here that we are well on our way to making that happen, if we haven't made it happen already. And so leading me into the future, I'm a firm believer in, you just fix a problem. And I've said this repeatedly over and over again. Law enforcement world, whether you like us or hate us, it is our existence, as we are just problem solvers. I mean, it's a day-to-day function of our job is to solve emergencies. We get dispatched to a 911 emergency. We have to get there with limited information, figure out everything that's going on, solve it for all parties involved, and then move on to the next emergency. And it is just something now in our nature, in my nature. I don't complain about things. I don't wonder how something's going to get fixed or how it's going to happen. I just do it. We identify a problem and we solve it. And I think it's bringing me naturally to this position of, everything about California is broken, whether it's our school system, whether it's our public safety system, whether it's our building system, our farming, our agriculture, roadways, infrastructure, energy. Everything in California is failing. It's at emergency levels. And it's just natural for me. I don't have to sit and wonder how we're going to fix it. You just have to dive in there and do it. And one of the unique things I think about law enforcement that I'm kind of I'm benefiting from, for sure, is the majority of sane people appreciate law enforcement, especially their law enforcement leaders, whether it's a chief of police or especially a sheriff, because we're elected officials. We're very public. We're very out front public, and we have to be transparent. And I think I've been successful as that here. And even over the last 5 years, almost on the national stage. And so I have that reputation of doing the right things for the right people and the right reasons. I'm unapologetically anti-criminal and pro-service to our community, and I think that resonates well with people. And in a world and in a time when we are looking at our government and we are starving for someone that we can believe in, that we can trust. We're looking for a leader to actually care about us more than special interests or personal private agendas, political agendas. We're starving for someone to be in these leadership roles in government that actually cares about us. And I think that's my appeal. I think that's why the momentum has been just steamrolling since my announcement that people are starving for this, and we're seeing it from both parties now. The Democrats know that I'm the front runner, and so do the Republicans. So it's we're finding now that negativity coming toward me from both sides. I know now that I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing for all Californians, and we're going to make a difference here.
I think whether you're sheriff or you're governor, this should all be kind of nonpartisan stuff. And, when you talk about being 4-1 Democrat on the board, I mean, I'm a total true conservative. I'm a constitutionalist myself, but some of the nastiest people I've ever met were actually that they identify as Republicans or conservatives, and they constantly say it because I don't know why you got to keep saying over and over and over again how you're a conservative. But anyways, the proof is in the pudding, how you vote and so I think that a lot of people are starting to, even though things have been very polarizing, I think you got to judge people for what they stand for versus who they identify with. I kind of feel like you were talking about baseball. I was a basketball guy. I feel like in politics, people pick a side and then we just do the opposite of what the other people do versus having an intelligent conversation, seeing what's best. I mean, I think whether you're a liberal or a conservative or independent or however you identify, I think most people that have been in California for a while have seen it go to crap. I was born here in 1978. What year did you move here? I don't know if you said it earlier, but
89. I came here in 89.
In 89. So, I mean, I don't really remember much before that because, I mean, maybe 84 is probably like maybe 6 years old. I don't remember a lot before that, but I mean, as long as I could remember, I remember the 80s. I remember the 90s, and now we're in 2025. And I mean, in Redding here, you used to see maybe 10 homeless people in the whole town. You knew them all by name. They might have got drunk and stuff, but they were harmless. Tight, you know what I mean? It wasn't like what's going on now. Now everything is just overrun, like you were talking about the infrastructure. I mean, so I think that we definitely need a good leader, and I think most people can agree, regardless of your political affiliation, that we need a lot of change here.
Yeah, and I've been saying for years now, really since 2020, when we were starting to get so polarized, when we couldn't see the forest for the trees because we were identifying as Democrats and Republicans, and this just complete mess of COVID and government restriction and government overreach and all of those things that were happening, and we just fought with each other because of Democrat and Republican issues instead of common sense and reason and what's best for all of Californians and really all of Americans. And so I've been saying for years now that we will never fix our system that we have, our system of government, until we stop identifying and who we vote for by whether or not they have a D or an R after their name. And I truly do believe that. And I think really that is what my appeal is in this election is, I mean, everyone knows who I am, and I will never change who I am, my personality or my beliefs, my ethics, I will never compromise my integrity. So everyone knows exactly who I am, but they also know that I respect everyone else's opinion too. And then more importantly, they know that I make all of my decisions based on what's best for someone else, not for myself. So what I plan on doing in Sacramento is making it better for Californians, not better for Republicans, not better for Democrats or even independents. It's Californians, regardless of what political party they identify with. And I think the majority of us, if we're really honest, we agree on 80 or 90% of the issues. It's those tiny little one or two things that we don't agree with. That doesn't make us an enemy, though. It just means we have difference of opinions and we can come to mutually agreeable solutions for those types of issues. But the big thing of government and what government is supposed to be doing is those are all common sense issues, and those are integrity and character issues. That's what we need when we put these people in place. And I've been saying that we don't elect people based on character, and we don't elect people based on integrity. I don't know, everybody has their own reasons of why and how they pick someone, but never is it character and honesty and integrity. And I think that's my appeal. I mean, it's been 32 years of my life is impeccable integrity. I mean, honesty is just a regular part of my job. We say it all the time in my world: you lie, you die. You cannot be a cop if you're dishonest. And so no matter what during this campaign, I'm going to make people talk about the things they don't want to talk about and the failures that they've had and the failure of standing up for what's right. And the beauty is, I guess, as I'm talking and we're saying something different, everyone should know that I'm the only one that is truly forced to be telling the truth. Now, I'm doing it because I want to anyway. That's just who I am. But if someone's saying something completely opposite from me and you have to sit and wonder who's telling the truth, I'm the only one that's forced to. I can lose my job if I lie. So it's you. I mean, it's a built in. I'm very transparent. I'm very open. You may not like what I say, but I'm telling you the truth. And all of my decisions are based on common sense, reason. And really, for California, all of those things that are harming us, our regulation, our unbelievable taxes, the government overreach, the government waste of money, all of those things are common sense. We all agree that is happening, that we're wasting money, that we don't know where it's going. It's being wasted on the homeless as the homeless keeps getting more and more and more. We've spent hundreds of billions of dollars on homeless, and you said it just multiplies every year. And it's because of a failure of government. It's not a failure of the people. It's not a failure of businesses. It's not a failure of law enforcement. It's a failure of our government. And we need to start putting people in there that actually care about us and want to do the right thing by all of us instead of a special interest.
Yeah, only government could spend billions of dollars on something and make it worse.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Government, for the most part, is a story of how not to do something.
That's hilarious. So, okay, you were a leader on Prop 36, is that correct?
Yes, I was the law enforcement face. I can't remember what position they gave me. It was like the something like the law enforcement coordinator of Prop 36 of the coalition of Prop 36. So I was like we had the DAs and we had law enforcement. That's what this bill was about. And I was the kind of like the spokesperson, if you will, for the law enforcement side, trying to rally everyone else around this bill to get Prop 36 passed. So I did a lot of speaking engagements, radio shows, TV interviews throughout the state, trying to educate people on the horrible failures of Prop 47 and why we needed Prop 36 to pass. And I mean, as we know now, it was overwhelmingly accepted by our public. Every single county, it passed in every county, even San Francisco and Los Angeles, which is predominantly almost all Democrat, they even voted yes on that. So nearly 3/4 of the state, 70 something percent, 72% voted yes on Prop 36, that we are going the wrong direction in public safety, that public safety is ruining a lot of different aspects of our life, and we have to start holding criminals accountable for their actions. Crime has to be a crime again. And it was a resounding yes. So we were very, very pleased with that big result. We were hoping with just get us one vote over that 50% threshold to get it to pass, and it came through overwhelmingly. So we were extremely happy. It was actually what you would assume would be a mandate for the lunatics that are running our government in Sacramento, but they're still doubling down and showing that this love affair that they have for criminals at the expense of the rest of us is continuing even today, as they're debating whether or not it should be a felony to sex traffic a 16 and 17-year-old kid, and you have somebody that's saying that it shouldn't be. It makes absolutely no sense, but that's the crazy world we're in Sacramento, with the agenda that our governor has set and that our legislature is progressing. And it's unfortunately at the demise of California.
These are the same people that want tampons in the boys' bathroom.
Oh
Which
yeah, it's I'm a dad. I'm a dad of 3 boys and a girl, very athletic kids, including my daughter. And my daughter, as athletic and as strong as she is, she can't hold a candle to her brothers. I mean, that's common sense. Swimming. I had one of my boys was top CIF swimmer, and she was a top CIF swimmer herself, but they did not compare. So to have an adult say it's okay for boys to compete with girls, this is lunacy. People are over it. They're done with it. They want common sense. They want reason. They want lawmakers that actually care, instead of pushing some woke agenda or ideological belief or personal belief. Government is supposed to be for the people, not for special interests and for personal agendas.
Yeah, it seems like you get in a lot of trouble sometimes for something that should be like, why? And then there's other things that people should be going to prison for, and they get an infraction or maybe a misdemeanor, and it's complete lunacy. You can get in more trouble for saying something to somebody than you could for sex trafficking. I mean, I'm not sure if that's a thing, but I know that you can get in a lot of trouble for saying the wrong things, which I'm not. Hey, I grew up, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I get in trouble for that because I like my kids to be tough. And, that's.
I mean, philosophically, if you want to go back and figure out how we got to where we got, you go back, several years, many years, and you realize that this era and these kids that were raised believing that everybody's a winner and everybody gets a trophy and there's no consequences for doing anything wrong. You don't get spanked anymore. You can't even get spanked. You have to be, scolded, or you just have to reason, your parents have to reason with their children, which is impossible. And now we see that kids, it offends them if they get told no, or if someone doesn't go along with their opinion, then they're somehow their feelings are hurt. And now legislators want to somehow make that criminal because you hurt someone's feelings, while right now today they're saying that it's okay if you traffic 16 and 17-year-old kids. You can't make it make sense, because it doesn't. And we have gone so far into crazy land that it's taking a bit to come back, because you've got those people that put us here that are doubling down, and they're never going to admit that they were wrong, or that they made a mistake, or that they believed something that simply wasn't true. They're just doubling down on it and fighting us on it. And it makes it difficult. You can't talk sanity into someone who does not think rationally.
Yeah, I had someone's van broke down in front of my business, and I do retail, and they said, "Hey, can I leave the van here and come back and work on it?" I go, "Yeah, but you don't want to leave it here like after dark and stuff, because all the people come out, and it's just it's kind of wild, and there's a lot of just bad people going at, once the business shuts down." I was like, I would not leave your vehicle. Well, they came back to work on the van. They couldn't get it fixed, and then they ended up leaving it there. The next morning I came, the window was bashed out on the van. They broke in, they opened up the hood, they got in and stole a bunch of stuff, batteries and alternators and whatever they could. And I don't know what else they stole out of the van. And I went on the camera, and it was a very distinctive truck with like weird rims and the skinny little tires, but it was like a suburban type big SUV with really weird rims. And I showed one of my guys that worked for me. I said, "Hey," and he goes, "Dude, I just seen that truck down the street working on some other car. They were already like putting some of those batteries and parts into another broken down vehicle, like literally a few hundred yards down the road. I called the law enforcement and they go, oh man, I described the guy on the camera and what his vehicle, and they were like, oh yeah, this guy's been stealing stuff all over. We've been waiting to get him, and this is going to be his third strike. He's going to prison. And finally they're like, they've been trying, because I had it on camera, and they downloaded the footage. They went and arrested him. The next morning he was walking on the street. And it's not law enforcement. People want to blame law enforcement. It's not they're working in the system that they have to. It's not up to them. They're not the judge. They don't make the state laws. But the guy was out walking the next day, and it's like, really?
Yeah. So here's the dirty little ugly truth about California and where we are is all of that about the homeless right now is 100% caused by our legislature. They want you to believe that it's law enforcement's fault. They want you to believe that it's your fault because you just don't have a heart, or you're not giving enough to someone else to make their lives better. And the reality is it's their fault. They legalized drugs. They've legalized drug use, and they've taken all the teeth out of what we used to be able to do to get these people help, force them into rehab. And it took a decade. It took almost 13 years for the public to realize that it wasn't law enforcement's fault. It was easy to say, man, the cops don't do anything. I call and nothing happens. Or they arrested them and they're out immediately. But no one was being honest about why. They're looking at the symptom instead of the cause, and the cause was crazy laws and asinine laws and regulations and rules that our lawmakers were putting into place. And so now we're wisening up, and we've gotten to a point where we're no longer apathetic. We're starting to do our own research. We're starting to use our own minds and thought process, because the media is lying to us. They're failing. And I say a lot of times that the media lies. In my world, withholding information is the same thing as being dishonest. So if you're dishonest, you're not being truthful. If you're not being truthful, you're telling a lie. I mean, lie is the dangerous word. You can't call someone a liar. That's a 4-letter word. But if you say they're dishonest, that's somehow acceptable, and we accept that sometimes. And we're starting to get to a point where we're over it. It's not acceptable anymore, and we're starting to hold people accountable. We're starting to call them out on their disingenuousness and their lies and the misrepresentations of fact that we know are just simply not true. And I think that's the difference in where we are today politically, especially in California, is there's too many people standing up saying, come on, this doesn't even make sense anymore. We have to put common sense back into our decision making. And it doesn't matter if it's public safety or if it's building regulations, business regulations. If you have friends that own businesses, no one that owns a business in California is going to tell you that California is business friendly. There is no one in the rest of the country that is waking up every day saying, man, I want to move my business to California because they love business people. They love business owners, and they make it very easy to own and operate a business in California. That's just simply not true. California government despises private business ownership, and they don't want these businesses. That's why the regulations are put in place to either tax them out of existence or regulate them out of existence, or at least make it so hard for them to do business or not profitable that we move. We shut down our business. We move it to another state. We move to get better education for our kids. We move for better employment opportunities, business opportunities, less taxes. And we have to realize that's the government's fault. All of these people that are career politicians, every single person on this ballot is at fault for putting us in this position because they've stood up for these policies. They've backed these policies and this direction that we've been going in California. And so when you look at it and say, we have to stop voting for a Democrat. And then you get that fight because it's anti-Republican, anti-Democrat, and you're throwing party in there. But the reality is California has been in control of the Democrat Party since 1956. 1956 for the Assembly and 1958 for the Senate. And we've only had a few reprieves with Republican governors over the last 60 years and 70 years. And we have to start talking about reality. Everything bad about California is 100%, the blame and the cause has to go to Democrats. So, it's easy to say you have to just vote Republican this at this point. And then for me, sticking up for myself on a little soapbox, not to say that I'm any better of a person than anyone else, but my past, my resume of 32 years of law enforcement, of public safety service, of service to others instead of myself, that past that I have, where you can look and say, hey, that guy's been doing this for 30 years. All of these other people, they're just saying what they're going to do, but we don't have any proof that they actually would, or that they're capable of being a leader to do those things. And then another thing, you mentioned this earlier, and I was raised a certain way that you don't, if you have to tell people that you're a patriot, if you have to tell people that I'm more conservative than you are, you're probably not. Because the reality is if you are a good person, you don't have to tell anyone you're a good person. They already know. If you are a leader, you don't run around telling everybody what a great leader you are, because everyone knows you're that leader and it's already known. They tell you you're a great leader and that they would follow you into anywhere. You don't have to tell them. So it's a interesting place where I find myself, that my past and my resume is lining me up perfectly to be really the only person on this ballot with the history and the resume to make a change in this state for the right reasons. And we're gonna hopefully keep the momentum going as we continue on into the June primary and the November election. And I think that as more people start paying attention, they're all going to see that also.
Yeah, I think the people are tired of well-spoken, polished politicians who tell you what you want to hear, and just being I can tell you're a genuine person. And I think I think we're in a different time right now where people are paying attention, and they're just tired of career politicians and getting their back pissed on saying it's raining. We've had people say things over and over and over and over again to us, and then what happens when they get in office? They do the exact opposite of what they say they stand for. So I think that's great that you have decades of track record to back up what you're saying, and I appreciate you just speaking from the heart, because that goes a long way for me. When people don't have to sit there and think about exactly how should I say this the way that I want people to hear it, when you just speak from the heart, I think that goes a long ways with people these days.
Yeah, I think that's you're exactly right, and I hear that over and over and over again. People, when they ask me a question, they don't walk away and say, "Hey, he said a lot, but he never did answer me." I'm going to answer you. You might not like my answer, but I'm not going to tailor it to try and fit a different audience. I'm not going to try and compromise who I am, my integrity, my honesty, just to try and win your vote. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to do everything I can to make our lives better here in California for everyone. And my belief of government is getting in the way. Government is stopping our businesses from making us better. That's stopping our workers from being able to supply food and even toys, if you want to go that far, to their family. I mean, we want to work hard because we want to enjoy the fruits of our labor. And government is taking that away from us here. There's regulations about everything. All of those regulations need to be gone. A government regulation needs to absolutely be removed, and it can be removed with a stroke of a pen. And there will be hundreds of them that are removed on day one when I take office. And then we'll work to legislatively fix all of those issues so they can't come back and haunt us again when we suffer from short-term memory lapse and we forget what brought us to that point in the first place. And this is not going to be. I mean, I don't need a crystal ball. I don't need some magic spell to be able to do this. This is common sense. The gas taxes and the regulations and the fees that are disguised as regulations and fees, but they're really a tax that they just didn't want to get approval for. All of those have to be removed. Why are we paying $2 more per gallon of gas than our neighboring states? Why are we not drilling oil in the Central Valley when we have more oil than any place in the country? Why are we bringing it in from other countries and from other states to refine it here and then charge us more money? It's so grossly inept what our government has become in their unquenchable desire and thirst for your money. And I think we're just getting over it. We're tired of it, and we want a little common sense brought back.
Yeah, I mean, some people think, oh, they're idiots, this and that. I actually think there's a lot of useful idiots out there, but it almost seems like people are trying to destroy things on purpose.
Well, they 100% are. And let me tell you something. This is a perfect example. There's a bill. I can't remember the number, but it's a homeless bill that is up right now, and it's basically going to almost legalize homelessness because it's going to prevent law enforcement from doing anything about someone camped out on the street or in public, and it's going to prevent local jurisdictions from making a local ordinance or local law that prevents that from happening. And when you look at all of the supporters of it, it's 50, 60, 70 organizations that are all making millions from this government laundering of our taxpayer money into these organizations that are making homelessness worse.
It's
So,
big business.
oh, it is for sure. It's an industrial complex. It's the homeless industrial complex. And if we solve homelessness tomorrow, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of people that gravy train from your taxpayer money, that slush fund that they get in the form of grants and free money and everything else into their nonprofits and their businesses that claim to help homeless. That's all going to be shut off. There would be no more homeless, so that problem is gone. It's no different than, I mean, you go crazy into the whole thing, but cancer research, they're never going to tell you that cancer is fixable and solvable and removable, because then that takes away the big business from it because it's actually cheap. And so we just get fed lies and lies as we move on down the road. But it's those people that are making and tend to make and have the chance of making millions and millions of dollars. They don't want these things fixed. And I think for the rest of us, it's like, man, I'm tired of paying those millions and millions of dollars and not getting anything out of it. So one of the things that I say, especially in this homeless issue, but as it comes to taxes and the regulations, all of the regulations that I said I'm going to remove and the taxes, one of the things is by the time I'm done with 8 years of being your governor, we will no longer be paying a state income tax. We are going to get it removed, just like 10 other states have done it. We're the greatest state in the country. It makes absolutely no sense why we should be stealing all of our residents' money instead of making it easier for our economy to just flourish. So we are going to fix those things. But what I've said over and over is, if you want to know who stands to make the most from what's going on right now and who is going to suffer if I'm the governor, watch who comes against me in this election. All of the special interests are going to come against me hard because that's their gravy train. They're the spigot of money from Sacramento that flows into these nonprofits and businesses and special interest organizations and groups. They don't want me there because they're actually going to have to go out and get a job, and they're going to have to play a part in the economy rather than stealing our money.
Yeah, these politicians that implement these failed policies, probably on purpose, they're going in, these people are going into office with almost no money, and then all of a sudden they have mansions and tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're so freaking rich. Do you think they're going to open up their house to any homeless people? They're not.
No,
they're going to
they're
make
not.
you feel guilty for driving your car around, telling you that an electronic vehicle is clean, green energy, just like the pharmaceutical industry with cancer and all that kind of stuff. It's all similar type stuff, but they're gonna tell you that you're bad because you drive a car while they fly around private jets, and they're just the biggest hypocrites. I mean, I think people are finally starting to figure this out.
Yeah, you said it. The hypocrisy that goes on with our legislators, our governor, our even our other elected officials. I mean, complete embarrassment of an attorney general that we have here. It's all the same. The hypocrisy is just, I mean, it's astounding when you really get into it and you pay attention of the things that they say we have to do that doesn't apply to them, or that they don't want it to apply to them. And it's just crazy. And we've gotten to a point where I mean, this is how bad it is here. You have Governor Newsom is one of the most prolific progressive Democrats in the country, and he has been his entire life. He has been everything bad about California, he has been preaching for 25 years, 30 years of his adulthood. The things that he supports, the things that he pushes are exactly what is causing California's demise. And now that he realizes that he wants to run for president and the rest of the country knows that California is a failure and he's responsible for it, he's now trying to come out saying he's pro public safety and he wants to end the homeless and he wants to clean up our streets and we have to do more. He's coming out now about this, saying it's bad that he's saying that 16 and 17-year-old kids it should be a felony if you're trafficking them, but he's not doing anything about it. He's just saying the words, the hypocrisy, so that somehow later on down the road he can say, "Oh, look, this is what I was for." And what we're seeing now, especially in silly season election cycles, is all of these people are coming up with these great ideas to fix it, but it's like, man, you put us here. You could have done this years ago, but you chose not to. You chose not to use common sense, and you backed the policies and the rules and the regulations that put us in this position, but now you want to say you're going to get us out of it? It's like you can't cause a problem and then think that we're just going to let you be the solution too, because it was a created problem that you did. Our housing problem it's a created problem. It's a government created problem. They have put so much regulations and fees and time involved that costs money on our builders. It takes 4 years to build a home that should take 4 months. And all of those costs have to be passed on. Well, that's all by design. They don't want people building homes. And then it drives the price up. We can't afford homes anymore. Cost of living goes up because of regulations on fuel and water and our groceries and everything else. It's a recipe for disaster that has been pushed on us for decades. And now we're pulling it out of the oven and we're getting forced to eat it right now. And it doesn't taste good. And so we're looking for a different direction, and that different direction is letting Californians make their own decisions. Let builders make their own decisions on how many houses they want to build and how much they want to pay for it. And then that free market brings the cost down. But when government drives the cost up, it's on purpose. You have to actually look at it and say, if common sense and reason is not being applied, then there has to be a purposeful reason why they're doing something. We do not have and never have had a water problem in this state. We have never had a shortage of water. We have a water management problem. We have a government regulation problem on our water management that causes us to either not have water or to not be able to afford the water that we need. And it's by design. If they force all of the business owners that are farmers or ag people, if they force them out of business, then okay, now we get to buy it from other countries and we get to enrich them in this globalization thing, this new world order, rather than what's best for Americans, what's best for Californians. And that's how our government was designed. That's our forefathers designed our government. Government has a purpose. It's to keep us safe, provide us infrastructure, water, electricity, those types of things, and really our education. So public safety is number one, infrastructure number two, our roads, our buildings, our water, our power, all those things, and then educate our kids. That should be the role of government, is to educate our kids. Everything after that is fluff. Government was not designed for that. But over a couple of hundred years, government, just by human nature probably, and then the nature of government is you have to get government bigger and government has to be in charge of more and more things. The DMV, California DMV, is proof positive for the rest of the world that government does not work. That's the most inefficient organization probably in the history of organizations. And we have to realize that it's government's fault. And that's not how we were designed. So if we could start electing leaders who care about their constituents, who care about whether or not we can open our businesses or whether or not we can go to those businesses and patronize those businesses. And that's what matters. Expand your business, bring more jobs into our state, make it business friendly, make it tax friendly. We are losing our friends and family members to all of these other states, not because they have better weather, not because they have a better beach, not because they have better mountains, not because they have better deserts. It's because they have a better business environment, a better education system, and a better tax environment for consumers. And if we would just fix those things that were made bad by government, we could bring all those people back and we could make California this beacon for the country that it once used to be. And it's not going to be difficult to do.
Yeah. California could be so much better. It could be one of the, I mean, it's the most beautiful place. I love my home here. I've thought about moving, but I'm like, you know what? I believe I'm supposed to stay here and fight. And I don't blame anybody. A lot of people can't afford to stay, even if they wanted to. And I'm totally against collectivism. And I'm glad you brought up the New World Order and globalism. I've been researching globalism since 1998. It's a real thing. A lot of people thought I was a conspiracy guy, and now it's kind of just in your face almost. It's kind of hard to ignore. You can bury your head in the sand if you want, but
you can't ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, Agenda 21, now they call it Agenda 2030. They could rebrand this stuff however they want, but the destruction of America, the destruction of California is definitely by design. And the reason collectivism never works, ever worked in history, ever, is because there becomes a point where if you work 16 hours a day, okay, or whatever, you work 8 hours a day, you work 4 hours a day, whatever it is. Some people work a couple jobs. They're working 12, 13 hours a day, 6 days a week, just to try to pay the bills. And then you've got other people that don't have any incentive to do anything. There comes a point where the people that are the providers, they just get fed up and they say, you know what, I'm done. And that's a lot of people. I've left California for that reason, because, and if we were more business friendly and there was more jobs available and it was cheaper to build, I mean, we could be living so good here. It used to be where one parent would work, the other parent could be a stay-at-home, and you could save 10%, you could own your vehicle, you could own your house outright, you weren't in debt. And we're the opposite of all that now. I mean, people are dangling by a thread. And if government would just get their boot off of our neck and free some things up, we would actually help our family members. We would help a lot of this homeless type stuff. It's a very complex issue. But what I'm saying is if you can't even help yourself, how are you going to help anybody else beyond your family when you can't even take care of them?
Right. It's absolutely right. And really, it is 100% common sense. This everything that you said right there is not some fringe idea or topic that we shouldn't talk about. This is 100% common sense, and we've lost that. We've lost the ability to reason. So I'll take you and I. If we are in the same job and you choose to work harder than me, then you should be rewarded for that. If I choose to just go and say, hey, I'm happy with what I got, I'm happy with what I make, and I don't want to work any harder, that should be okay too. But that we are not equal. You are far better, you are worth more than I am, and you should be rewarded more than what I'm rewarded for me being acceptable with mediocrity. So if I say I'm good with being mediocre, and you say I'm not, I want to be the best, and I want to make more money, and I want to supply more for my family, and I want to have more toys, or I want to have more luxury things that I want to work hard for, that I want my family to enjoy, you should be able to get that. And we're moving in a direction where we're getting this whole collectivism thing, and this whole, I mean, truly, it's socialism. I mean, we need to start being honest and calling things what they are, in and of
Marxism.
themselves. It's Marxism, it's socialism, it's communism, where everybody's equal. The government controls everything. The government and the people running government are the wealthy ones, which is what we have right now. And the rest of us are just struggling, trying to make ends meet, and we just can't figure it out. I mean, I am fortunate. I'm in a weird world, because people will look at me and say I'm a government official or I work for the government. And I get that. That's true. But I actually provide a service every single day of keeping people safe. So I'm just a regular blue collar worker in a government job. I'm not part of the government, just this big mess that we call government, because I'm actually out serving people every single day. That's what public safety is. Whether it's police or firemen, we're out there every single day sacrificing ourselves, working paycheck to paycheck. We'll give up our life for you if we have to, but we struggle. It's like, if I can work overtime, I'll have a little bit for Christmas for the kids, and that's okay. That's all good. But then I look, I get branded as part of government, but now I look at government and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I've been doing this for 32 years. I get paid fine. I'm not complaining about what I get paid. I've made a living. I raised my kids. I provided them everything that they wanted. We've had a very, very, very good life. But I am not wealthy by any means. I am certainly not a millionaire. And I've been doing this for 32 years. So when I look at our government officials who are up there now, particularly in Washington, but it's the exact same in Sacramento, how are these people who have been doing it for 10 years or 20 years or even 30 years making the same or less than me? How are they so wealthy? How are they living in $15 million homes, $10 million homes? There's something seriously, seriously broken with our government when our private businesses are struggling, our workers are struggling, and government is just growing, 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 and just taking more of the private sector money to feed the beast. And then you end up with socialism, and everybody has to be equal because nobody's better than anyone else, because now we only have a little bit of money to go around for all of us workers because the government bureaucracy has soaked it all up.
Yeah, 100%. I want to bring this up before I forget. You're going to be in Tehama County, correct? On the 6th and on 6, 7?
Yes, I'll
or
see
June
if I can
7th?
find on my calendar, but I know I'm going to be there. We're going to be concentrating. I'm very well known in Southern California. Our local media here. I've been for 5 years now. I've been a fixture on local media. I've been a law enforcement, very well respected nationwide law enforcement leader. But I'm very well known in Southern California. Not so much in the rest of the state. Some of you have fantastic sheriffs in the state. Some of you maybe not so much, although I love all of them. We're all good friends and we work together, but the relationships that they have with sheriffs in certain counties is not the same as it is in others. And so we are going to be doing everything that we can to spend the majority of our time in outside of Southern California to make sure that Central Valley, Northern California, the coast, the Bay Area, that everybody gets to learn who I am and what I have to offer, and make sure that we're able to, time comes for everyone to go to the polls, we're going to make an educated, researched decision of who we're going to put in Sacramento in our governor's office.
So we have absolutely as much time as you want to stay on, but I also I want people to know how to find you, and we'll put it in the comments also. But where do people go to see what you're doing? How do they support you? And like I said, we have as much time as we need. I just want to make sure, because I might forget to bring that up.
Great question, and I forget all the time too. But the easiest way is any social media, Sheriff Chad Bianco or Sheriff Bianco on any of the media platforms. And then ultimate easy is biancoforgovernor.com. And if you go to the biancoforgovernor.com and you click on the volunteer tab, there are several things that you can sign up for information. You can sign up for when we're going to be in your area, put a little bit of information about where you are or what you would like to help, how you would like to help, and we can get back with you if you want to organize events or if you want to help a fundraiser. This campaign is going to be very, very expensive. So we need all of those things all across the state. You can buy merchandise on there. We've got some pretty cool shirts and hats. Anything to help the campaign as we move forward. And I truly need, I'm looking for 10 million volunteers in California that wants to make a change in California, wants to help me get into office. And those 10 million volunteers that have signed up for the campaign, those are all going to be 10 million votes, and we're going to win by a landslide.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's Bianco, Bianco.
Bianco.
And that's number 4, yes. Or spelled out FOR?
No, spelled out.
Yep.
BIANCO governor.com.
Perfect. Okay, so I don't know if you want to get into this subject or not, but one of the hottest topics up here in Shasta County. You know, our board of supervisors voted to go to hand counting, and then there was government codes and Senate bill, all kinds of things that have made it very difficult for us to run elections the way we want. I mean, there's been infighting amongst patriots on this. It's a very, very touchy subject, but I don't know if I'm not saying there's fraud. I'm just saying there's a lot of ways that, you know, I mean, I think most people would want to have voter ID, and I don't know if that's something you've thought about or anything you can do to make people believe in the election system. I've got stories. I'm not going to sit here and tell them, but I've had my personal experiences where I'm like, really? This is how you guys do things? And it's not that it's the people at the polling location or necessarily the registrar of voters. It's state laws and government codes and things like this. And it's just, it's pretty wild to me. So I didn't know if that's something you've want to talk about or if you can.
It is. And so if you think that there is not fraud going on in our elections, you have your head in the sand and you are just in complete denial, or you're part of the fraud that's going on. But we can't have it any other way, because in the law enforcement world, we absolutely know there is. The problem for us is it's virtually impossible to find that fraud and then pin it to a person. So just the way the system's set up, you don't know who did it. You don't know who's committing that fraud, filling out those forged ballots and those types of things. But we know it's happening. So we absolutely need voter integrity. We absolutely need voter ID. You have to be a citizen of this state, a citizen of this country, to be able to vote in our elections. And for anyone to say otherwise, they are a serious threat to the viability of this state and to this country, because that makes absolutely no sense that a foreign entity should be able to just swamp our election process and change our government for their needs. And so when you look at common sense and when you look at how things actually work, there are governments, there are other dictatorship governments, communistic governments that we have gone into, and we have promoted democracy, and we have held good elections there, good democratic elections. And when it happens, you have to identify yourself, and you get the old thumb ink so you can't vote twice, and you have to vote in person. That's how we go in and make sure of the integrity of these elections. But then you come to California and you come to the United States, and you have every single Democrat saying, no, we can't have voter ID. That's racism, or that's, you're preventing people.
Let me stop you real quick. To say that voter ID is racist is the most racist thing you could say. If you
everything that they do.
If you actually think about it, because are you saying that people that aren't white are less likely to be intelligent enough to have an ID, or what? You know what I'm saying? Like what?
That's everything that I say about the progressive left. Everything about them is a complete and utter lie, because they're not coming out and saying, we don't want America anymore. Obama did. Obama said he was going to fundamentally change America, and we voted for him anyway. But the new ones, Newsom is not going to say, I'm trying to destroy the state so I can be in control and I can be the dictator of this state. So he has to lie all along the way to cover up more lies. And that's the reality. We have to call you a racist because I have to lie to cover up the fact that I'm trying to steal elections by not having voter integrity. And I mean, it's plain common sense. And we believe that for the 2026 election, we're going to have a ballot measure on our ballots where we will be able to vote for voter integrity. And here's the reality. The majority, if not all, of Californians want it. It's just the people in power that don't want it. So they come up with these crazy, statements and racisms and all of these different emotional things to try and bolster their argument that just fall flat when you talk about fact and reality, because it's just simply not true. We need voter integrity, and we should have voter integrity. You have to vote in person. You have to have ID to vote to prove that you're even capable of voting here, and then we will have legitimate elections.
Yeah. So, all right. I said I wasn't going to tell this story, but I'm going to say it really fast. So back in 2022, was it 2020? Sorry. In 2020, I moved from one place to another place, and I re-registered to, I was like, oh, I didn't want to vote with the wrong address attached to me. Plus it changes my district and everything. So I re-registered to vote. So I didn't have a mail-in ballot. I went into my polling location, says, hey, I'm registered to vote. I changed my address though, because I moved and I wanted my vote to be legit. And so I don't have a mail-in ballot. Went in there, they handed me some pieces of paper and they go, find yourself on here. And my name's John Knight, and I flip, it's all alphabetical. I find myself and I'm like, here I am right here. And they go, okay. And I said, no ID or anything. And they go, hey, it shows if you want to. And then they got on the phone and then they call, Sacramento or something like that. And they're like, hey, we just want to make sure this guy, John Knight's actually registered to vote. And then they gave me a ballot and I filled it out. And I mean, I could have said I was anybody on there. There's so many ways that fraud could happen. And I've talked to people, and I was having an argument with a family member, not an argument. We were just talking about voter integrity very lightly, but they said that they think mail-in ballots are a good thing because if you take them away, that it's disenfranchising people because they wouldn't be able to vote in person. But the thing is we used to, if you file for an absentee ballot, or if you're in the military or you're handicapped or whatever the reason is, you can still get one, but you shouldn't get something unless it's requested. So it's not disenfranchising anybody, but.
Yeah, it's not. It's just another lie. It's just continuing the lie so they can manipulate and they can control, and they know they're benefiting from this and they don't want to take that away. It's no different than the homeless nonprofits that don't want to fix homeless because they're going to lose their money. The Democrats do not want to fix voter integrity. They don't want it. They don't want legitimate elections because they're running a chance of losing power.
Yeah, I think that some people are definitely naive, but I think there's other people that are willing to look the other way if things go the way that they want.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like I came up with this funny idea to where like Trump was going to steal the election to get, because I mean, it should be a nonpartisan thing. I mean, the left and the right, even if something goes your way and you're willing to go, well, there probably was fraud, but the guy I wanted in made it in there. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like freedom of speech. If you want to shut someone else's freedom of speech down, next thing you know, when you step out of line, then your freedom of speech. So if one side gets disenfranchised, I mean, you're next.
Yeah. I mean, it's they're just the hypocrisy and how everything they take a position on one thing, but yet it doesn't make sense with the position they take on the other thing. For instance, you can't have, it's just asinine when you start thinking about all of the things that are wrong in California that really don't make sense. They want to mandate that you have to wear a mask or that you have to get vaccinated, but you should be able to choose to do this over here and government shouldn't get involved. It's like you can't do both things. You can't say that both of those things make sense together because they're opposites, but you're the one arguing both of them. And I think we're just getting to a point now where we're all starting to wake up a little bit. We were a bit apathetic, and we know we've been taken advantage of. And I think now we're starting to say, hey, that doesn't make sense. You can't, I'm not going to support you. I'm not supporting your position because it makes complete nonsense compared to what you were doing over here. And that's the reality of our government leadership right now, is just the hypocrisy and the rules that they make depending on what they want to get accomplished. There's not a defined set of rules because it could be different for each individual topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Hypocrisy. That should be the word of the day right there. Yeah. Well, is there any other subjects you want to cover?
No, I'm good. I think we've covered most things. I think the big topics that we're all dealing with is a lot of things that our current president is fixing. Illegal immigration has to stop. The sanctuary state has to be repealed. The sanctuary state only helps criminals. It is not keeping us safe. It's not keeping your community safe. It's not keeping people who are here illegally safe. It's only protecting criminals. It prevents criminals from being deported, and that's absolutely wrong. It puts us all at risk. So that needs to be fixed. Our school system is just absolutely broken. It's an indoctrination place. It's no longer an education place. Our kids are not reading, writing, or doing math at grade level. They're not even close. And somehow the school system thinks that that's okay. All of these things need to change. The regulation, our water, our agriculture. We just have to have government getting out of the way. The government waste that we know is going on must be stopped, and there's got to be people held accountable for the embezzlements and the frauds that have been going on. And I think that's really my appeal, is just this law enforcement, fiscally conservative law enforcement, hold people accountable. Sending him into Sacramento, sending me into Sacramento makes sense because I'm going to do the right thing for everyone else. And there's going to be people held accountable. I say it all the time. It's like a kid. When as you're raising your kids, if you tell them to stop doing something, they're just going to keep doing it, doing it, doing it. All of a sudden, they get their hand smacked. And it's like, hey, I'm not doing that anymore because that kind of hurt a little bit. And you learn a lesson. And so the same thing is going to be when I'm elected. I'm not going to go in there and say, hey, these third party and these government kickbacks and these lobbyist kickbacks that you're all getting has to stop. That's not what's going to happen. Somebody's going to be held accountable. Somebody's going to be arrested for the embezzlement, the fraud, the bribery, the frauds, and all those things going on. They're going to be put in jail and prison. And then that's going to send the message to everyone else and say, hey, all those things must be off limits now because he's serious. And that's what's going to happen. We've been abused by our own government, and I think it's time that Californians take responsibility and take our government back so it works for us. And I think that it's going to be very, very clear on this ballot, no matter who else gets in from even here on out, that when you stack our resumes up against each other, I will be the only one that truly has a lifelong career of making sure that your government is working better for them.
Let's make California great again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Each wonderful, beautiful city by each wonderful, beautiful city. There's so many different places in the state. And that's one of the things that my mentality of law enforcement, I didn't come into the sheriff's office saying that I want to fix theft or I want to fix gangs or drugs or anything like that. We have a philosophy here that we address quality of life issues because every single community is different. And I will take that same mentality into Sacramento because what is your main concerns and topics of discussion and emergencies in your city or your county where you are might not be the same as my county. So why would we treat everyone the same? We have to address all of these intricate issues for each corner of our state to make sure that everyone in California is benefiting from this California dream that we once had.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us and stepping up. I know that it would be a lot easier of a life to not, run campaigns and be in these positions. I know it's a lot of pressure. You can't please all the people all the time. And I wish, to be honest, I didn't want to really have to. I have fun. I mean, let's have fun with it. I can tell you have fun with it. It's not a bad thing, but I mean, it's unfortunate that it's gotten so bad that it's time for everybody to step up. And I kind of wish somebody else was doing it, and maybe not. I don't know what my alternate reality would be, but it's time for everybody to step up right now. And I appreciate that you are doing what you do, because I'm sure you would have a lot easier life and maybe more financially successful in the private sector. And all, like I said, you can't please all the people all the time. So I'm sure you get a lot of crap for being an honest person, but that goes a long ways. Hey, I got to ask you before we get off it, that old lever action rifle there, I've been looking at it. Is that a family heirloom?
No, it's actually, that is a commemorative California State Sheriff's rifle that we had as an auction. It was the 130th anniversary the 125th anniversary of the Cal State Sheriff's Association. And this is going to be public, and she's probably going to see it, but it was an auction and it wasn't cheap. But when I saw that thing, there was I knew that I was going to make it a family heirloom, but it's starting with me.
That's awesome. All right. Well, okay. So Sheriff Bianco, you find him at biancoforgovernor.com, all spelled out, BIANCOFOR, governor.com. If you want to get involved, you want to support him, you want to be a volunteer, donate money, that's how you find him. And you can find him on any of the other socials. Before we get off, I wanted to give a shout out to Jefferson State Diesel. Both owners are on site. They are patriots. They're helping us keep the lights on. So if you need any diesel mechanic work, please go to them. They're honest. They do great work, and both owners are on site. They're huge supporters of the community and patriots. Thank you again, Chad Bianco, so much for coming on and doing what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. If I can just close by this, and what you said about I truly am, and I don't want to make this about me and poor me because I'm choosing to do this, but I am sacrificing. I'm sacrificing for my personal life, the best job that I could ever imagine having. I live in a great city, a great town. I have a great home. I have a great life. Everything is all good. I should be winding down and looking for my future of retirement and everything else. But I'm doing this to sacrifice for the rest of Californians, to make our lives better here in California. And as I do that sacrifice, I'm asking everyone to sacrifice a little bit in wanting to make change in California. And this is going to take a lot of money to run this campaign. And truly, if you can, $5, $1 makes a huge difference. If 10 million people donating $1 or $5 makes a huge difference. So if you can make a sacrificial donation to this campaign to make California a better place, truly would appreciate it, and it'll make our campaign a whole lot easier.
I've said this many times, but I was sitting there thinking one day, and I said, man, if as many people that all the effort and money they put into like a Super Bowl party. And I'm not anti-football. I'm just saying all that money and effort that goes into having that Super Bowl party, if that much, everybody in California that is a patriot put that much effort into supporting people like you, I mean, that's all it would take. It would be a done deal. A little
Absolutely.
bit of effort from a massive amount of people is.
Yeah. Making a $5 investment into the future of California could mean the difference in this election. And it truly can be that simple. All
right. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you, Chad. And
absolutely. Can't wait to get up there and see you in person, meet you in person.
I will definitely see you absolutely on July 7th or June 7th. I'm sorry, June 7th. I'm not sure where it is, but I'm going to go to your website and I will find out. And I'll definitely come and shake your hand and meet you in person and try to get as many people as I can to the event.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And just while I have you on here before we get out, I'll tell you exactly where it is. It looks like it might be, it's on Saturday, June 7th. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, yes, it is. It's at the Red Bluff Community Senior Center.
Okay, at the Red Bluff Community Senior Center on June 7th. It looks like it starts at 5 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll see you there. You have a great day.
Very good. You too. Thanks very much.
Thank you.